there, I'm Kass and welcome to Kass and Gab Tutorials, Episode 1.
Hi, I'm Gab and here we explain and demonstrate Java topics in detail just for you.
So our topic for this episode will be inheritance in Java.
Before getting started, let's take a quick peek of the agenda in today's discussion. We shall begin by understanding why exactly we need inheritance, where we'll be explaining to you the importance of inheritance and its functionality.
So by the end of this episode, we can define what inheritance is and we will state and show some examples of it for you to understand inheritance in a better way.
And later on, we will show you and demo on how we code inheritance to provide you with a clear understanding on how inheritance is applied in Java.
So without further ado, let us now quickly begin to our first topic. Why do we need inheritance? To understand this, let us consider a simple example of two different watches.
So the first one is classic dial watch and the second one is digital watch. The functionality defined for the dial watch are display date, display day, and display time.
Similarly, let us get into the advanced version of the watch, which is the digital watch. The functionalities required for the digital watch are display day, display date, display time, light, set alarm, and set timer.
As you can see, three functions from the classic dial watch are repeating here. In real time, this would be considered as code redundancy. You might avoid this by removing the extra code from the digital watch, but the result will be that the digital watch will be missing the three functionalities, which are display date, display day, and display time.
You might try to keep them in the digital watch and try to remove those from the classic dial watch. But again, in the real-time scenario, you will lose the existence of a classic dial watch. The only solution for this problem is by applying inheritance to both of the classes, where the classic dial watch will act as a parent class and a digital watch will act as a child class.
The child class will inherit all the methods and properties of the parent class and successfully reduces the code redundancy. This improves the readability and the functionality of the code to an exponential level.
Now that you have theoretically understood what the term inheritance means, let us now proceed on understanding inheritance more deeper and how it is applied in Java.
We are all familiar with the term inheritance, right? From the root word inherit, meaning to receive something from someone. In programming terms, inheritance also happens on creating codes. The idea behind inheritance in Java is that you can create new classes that are built upon existing classes. When you inherit from an existing class, you can reuse methods and fields of the parent class. The class that extends the features of another class is known as child class, subclass, or derived class.
So to apply it in Java program, let's create a new Java file, but let's open the Eclipse first. So here, let's create new Java project, and let's name it inheritance. Then, okay. Now, here's an example. Let's assume that we have three students. Now we can consider that those three students are uniquely different from each other.
Every student must have their own distinctive skill. Regardless of their differences, each of the students must know how to write and read. Now to start this off in coding, we'll proceed and create a new class.
So we will create three classes and assign every student in each class. So first, let's create the first class. Let's create class here. New, then class. And let's name it Gab for Gab. Okay. And let's create another one and name it. Let's create another one. Another class, and let's name it my name, which is Kass. Okay. Then last class. Let's create the last class and name it. Let's say Goofy. I think there. So now after creating three classes, we will create another class and name it students. So, in which these three classes will be inherited from the class students. So, let's create this new class, then name it students. There. So, after creating the class students, lastly, we're going to create main class. Main class. Class, then let's put it main, so since it's a main class. And don't forget to click this button, public static void main string arg, since it is the main class. Okay.
Now, since we have 3 classes here and we name each class to a particular student, first we're going to work on the first class, which is the class gov. And since we mentioned that all of the students must have their own distinctive skill, we must assign something for gov.
So here, we can make this student an actor. So what we will do is create another method and call it unique skill. So to do this, let's put here a keyword which is public static void, then call it unique skill. Unique skill. There. In this method, this will print the unique skill that this student has, which this student has, rather. So let's put here system.out.print line. So as what we said earlier, that this class can act. So let's say gov can act. Then semicolon.
Now, let's jump to the next class, which is class Kass. So same as what we have done with the first class, we will create a distinctive skill for Kass. So we can make Kass a dancer. So we will first create a method. Okay, let's create a method. Public void, and let's name it again unique skill for this class. Okay, and then we'll make this method print Kass can dance. So I'm gonna put system out line, and then I'm gonna print the string Kass can dance. And now let's proceed to the last student.
Okay. So as what we wrote in the previous class, you have to choose a distinctive skill for Louis. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Louis is Louis has the talent in playing flute. So I'm just going to copy the method, this, copy, and paste it in the class Louis to make it more easier for you. Then change this to, since Louis can play flute, then let's print here Louis can play flute. There.
And as what we have mentioned a while ago, these 3 students also share the same ability, which is to read and to write. And so instead of putting methods read and write in every class, which is redundant, we will just place this in another class so as to simplify the program and apply inheritance as well. So I'm gonna put the method can read and can write here in the parent class, which is the student. So I'm gonna first put public static void. I'm gonna name it can read. And I'm gonna make this method print system out that print line I can read. And then I'm going to make another method for the right. So public static void can write and gonna make this one print. Okay, I'm gonna make this one print. I can
Right.
write. Okay.
Okay. So as what we visualize our program, the purpose of this class is that it holds the general attributes of all students, which is the Gab, Kass, and Louis, in which they have the similar ability, which is to read and to write.
For now, our code is almost done. What we'll do now is that we will apply the main point of this tutorial, which is the inheritance. So to apply the inheritance, we must write the keyword extends after the class name, followed by the class student, in which the attributes of these classes will be inherited from.
So we will apply the keyword extends to all the three classes, specifically the class Gab, Kass, and Louis. So to do this, as what Gab said earlier, that we will write the keyword extends after the class name. So let's put here extends, then students. Then to make it more easier, let's just copy this, copy, then paste it here in the class Kass. Paste, then copy, paste it here. There. So each of the three classes must extend to students, which is this, students, in order to apply inheritance. So finally, we can move to the last class, in which the main method is placed.
Now here in the main class, the program is going to call each of the class that we have created. And what we are going to do here is we instantiate all of the three classes in order to call the method that we have created from the classes Gab, Kass, and Louis.
So under the main method, we will first instantiate the class Gab. So here, we're going to put here, here pala. So under the main method, we'll first instantiate the class Gab. So we'll put here the main method. So let's put Gab S1 is equals to new Gab. There. This should be capital letter. There. So the S1 here will represent the class Gab when we call it later on. So we are going to apply these for the rest of the classes.
And for class Kass and Louis, we are going to assign S2 and S3. So here, I'm gonna instantiate Kass, and I'm gonna put S2 for Kass, new Kass, and then for class Louis, I'm gonna put S3, new Louis. And now, since all of the three classes are instantiated, what we do next is we're going to call every method and in each class. So each student has a unique skill and also has the ability to read and write, which they commonly share with the rest of the students.
So let's start with the class Gab or S1. So since Gab can read and write, we're gonna call the method can read and can write. So by doing that, let's put here S1, since S1 stands for Gab, right? So let's put S1 that can read and S1 can write. Here, can write. So remember, we place the methods can read and can write only in the class students, but since we applied inheritance for all the three classes, the method can read and can write can be called through class gab.
By calling method can read and can write, the result would imply that Gab can read and write. But we still have to recognize his unique skill. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write S1. Okay. S1. And then I'm gonna call the method in which the class Gab kuan in which the class Gab contains its unique skill. So unique skill. Okay, so in this way, this will print out Gab's unique skill.
So after that, we will apply this to the class Kass or S2 and Louis or S3. So to make it more easier, let's just copy the methods of S1, which is Gab. Copy this. Then paste it here below. Then change the S1 to S2 since S2 stands for Kass. S2, then S2. Then also paste it under the S2 and change the S1 into S3 since S3 stands for Louis. There. So I'm going to print a space to separate the results of each class. So by doing that, let's put here below the S1 system out dot print line, then print spacebar space to separate S1 to S2 semicolon, and then let's copy this and put it below S2 so that S2 and S3 will separate from each other. There.
Okay, so let's try to run this class and let's see what it does. Okay, so we can see that in the first three results, we know that Gab can read and Gab can also write, and he can also act. So same as with the rest of the class, it shows their abilities and their special skill.
So now that we showed you the effects of inheritance in your program, in the code we made, we were able to connect all the classes by inheriting the subclasses, which is the Gab, Kass, and Louis, to the superclass, which is students. So in cases where repeated methods are done, that would cause code redundancy. So we rather place the repeated method in the superclass and inherit it to the class that benefits the shared method.
So that's it. Again, Java inheritance is a procedure in which the subclass inherits all the properties and behaviors of the superclass. In our program, the superclass is students. And that's it for today. See you on our next episode.
If you have questions, leave a comment down below. And if you learn and understand our lesson, don't forget to like and subscribe. We hope to see you soon. Bye-bye!